US Highway 52. Yeah! We're doing a full part of US Highway 52. This is going to be published by tomorrow because I'm going to move it from August 6th, but this will come out tomorrow instead. So we'll get through this. It is from Charleston, South Carolina, way up to Portal, Canada. Yeah, we get a beginning of US Highway 52. It is just a big shield of US Highway 52 sign. And then the other side, we just get a small shield. Because US 78 might join us with US Highway 52. We get a mention for Interstate 26 westbound for Columbia. We get US Highway 52 for Rivers Avenue. Why not Florence, South Carolina? Now we're joining US Highway 78, which you can go check out my US Highway 78 video, which I did that video. You can go check that out. We get a mention for Interstate 526 for Savannah, Georgia. Also for 526 East. We don't get no mentioned. Oh yeah, we do. We get Mount Pleasant. There we go. Now we're about to lose US Highway 78. Oh yeah, wrong one. And yes, we are losing US Highway 78 for Somerville. It says we get a mention for Interstate 26. US 52 is signed for Goose Creek. Monk's Corner. This should have been Florence, South Carolina. Why not put Florence? We also get a mention for the beginning of US Highway 176. Here's our old friend US 521 for Correction. Federal Correction. Okay. Kingstree in Florence. And Salters for US Highway 521. Not 522. 521. So 52, US Highway 52 is for Kingstree for 10 miles and 48 miles for Florence. Yay! We get US Highway 378 for Sumter and Conaway, which is a great choice. Now we're joining US Highway 301 for Florence, Manning, Olanta. Olanta. Not Atlanta. Olanta. And we're losing US Highway 301. So US 52 is heading straight. Here's US Highway 76, our old friend. For Marion. This should have been Wilmington, North Carolina. And US 76 will also take you to Columbia. So we get US 52 signed for Darlington, where we're going to meet US 401. We get Interstate 95 for Fayetteville and Savannah, Georgia, which is a great choice. Now we're joining US Highway 401, signed for Bennettsville. US 401 will take you to Sumter with US Highway 378. So we're signed for Darlington now. Now we're joining US 15 for Hartsville and Bennettsville. US 52, 15, and 401 are now together. In Society Hills, we're losing US 15 and 401, while US 52 is signed for Camp Coker State Park. Now we're joining our old friend US 1. And we're losing US Highway 1, so US 52 is heading straight. We get Wadesboro for 22 miles and Salisbury for 83 miles. So we're about to head into North Carolina. And welcome to North Carolina. Yeah! Now we're joining US Highway 74 for Rockingham and Wadesboro. But US 74 should be for Charlotte, North Carolina. And we're losing US Highway 74, so US 74 will head into Charlotte, while US 52 goes into Salisbury. Now we're going to join Interstate 85 for Lexington. This is a really bad choice. This should have been Greensboro. And we get Interstate 85 South sign for Charlotte, North Carolina, which is a great choice. But Lexington should be Greensboro. Not the Lexington, Kentucky, but Lexington, North Carolina. And US 70 and US Highway 29 is joining Interstate 85 and US 52 for Greensboro and Winston-Salem. We get Spencer for US Highway 29 South and US 70 westbound. We're losing Interstate 85 for Greensboro and High Point. We're signed for Lexington and Winston-Salem for Interstate 285. Now we're going to say goodbye to US Highway 29 and US 70 for High Point. And we're signed for Winston-Salem for Interstate 285 and US 52. We get US Highway 64 for Mocksville and Lexington. Once we approach downtown Winston-Salem, we get Interstate 40 eastbound for Greensboro. 40 west is signed for Statesville. Dude, this should have been Asheville, North Carolina, not just Statesville. Why not Asheville? It's much big. It has like more people in Asheville. You can go see the Biltmore, all that stuff, not just Statesville. Here we are in downtown Wytheville. We get US Highway 158 and US 421. 421 is signed for Salem Parkway. So we're going to meet US Highway 412 in Indianapolis for Part 2. So we get 421 signed for Kernersville. This should not be North Carolina Highway 74. This should have been Interstate 74 for Kernersville. And we're signed for Mount Airy. That's where we're going to join Interstate 74. And we're losing Interstate 74. It is signed for Wytheville. We get a mention for Interstate 77. So we're heading into Mount Airy. We're on the Andy Griffin Parkway. So we get US Highway 601 mentioned. There is no welcome sign for Virginia. We just get enter to Virginia, not the welcome sign. Come on. They should put a welcome sign, not enter. Here's our oldest friend is US Highway 58 for Galax and Martinsville. We're signed for Hillsville. In Hillsville, we get US Highway 221. Now we're signed for Fort Chiswell, Floyd, and Galax. Alright. We don't get no interchange with Interstate 77. Like, look at the tallest bridge on Interstate 77. It looks nice. So we'll be heading into Wytheville. In Fort Chiswell, we're now going to join Interstate 81 southbound, Interstate 77 northbound, US 11 southbound, and US 52 north is joining Interstate 77 and 81, and US 11, we're going to get in the wrong way concurrency. And we do get a mention for Interstate 77 south, Interstate 81, and US 11 north, signed for Roanoke. We should put like a Charlotte, North Carolina for Interstate 77. And we're losing Charleston, West Virginia. And we're signed for Bristol because Interstate 81 South will head into Bristol, but there is no mention for US 11. So US 52 does not go into Bristol, but it does go into Bluefield. And yes, US 11 leaves us also because there's no split off with US 11 sign. Why not just put downtown Wytheville or something, not just blank. We do get a mention for US Highway 21 for Wytheville, And US 52 is time for Wytheville. We should get like Bluefield for US 52. And you can see that nice looking scenery in Appalachia Mountains. That is a nice looking scenery. I think I can go to Big Walker Lookout. Look at how pretty this mountain is. It's beautiful. Now we're joining Interstate 77 North. Why are we signing for Beckley? This should have been Charleston, West Virginia, not just Beckley. That's where Interstate 77 meets Interstate 64. That should have been Charleston, West Virginia. And welcome to US 460 for Bluefield. US 460 is time for Princeton. Now we're losing US 460, so US 52 is turning right. Now we're going to join US Highway 19. US Highway 19 will go into Bluefield, Virginia. So we're in Bluefield, West Virginia. And we're losing US Highway 19. US 52 will just head into the deep woods. Here's all this nice looking scenery in West Virginia. You can see the creek, and look at all those trees. They are pretty. So we'll be heading into Williamson after leaving Welch, West Virginia. And US 119 is joining us with US Highway 52. Okay, this is stupid. We're just going to head into Kentucky for just a little bit, like 2 times. And we just entered into Kentucky. Now we're back into West Virginia. Now we're just going to enter back into Kentucky. Come on. It's going to be the second time. While US 52 keeps joining in Kentucky for just a little bit with US Highway 119. This is stupid. And we're just going to enter back into West Virginia for the last time. We're losing US Highway 119 for Logan. This should have been Charleston, West Virginia. And US 52 is now signed for Huntington, which is a great choice. On the other side of Kentucky, but you cannot see US Highway 23. Yes, because US 52 is part of West Virginia, and US 23 is part of Kentucky. They're a little bit closer. Now we're joining Interstate 64 eastbound for Huntington. That should have been Charleston. Interstate 64 westbound gets signed for Ashland, Kentucky. That should have been Lexington, Kentucky. We get Interstate 64 eastbound for Huntington and Charleston, while US 52 north is signed for West Huntington and Ironton, Ohio. We get US 60 for West Huntington, West Virginia. We should get Ashland, Kentucky for US 60. And we're just going to go into Ironton, Ohio. And now we're just going to enter into Ohio, head into Ironton. But I'm going to go skip the rest and go into Portsmouth. And here's our old friend, US Highway 23. So we're just going to turn straight, head somewhere to meet US Highway 62 and US Highway 68. So US 23 will just head into Greenup, and 23 will head into Chillicothe and Columbus. US 52 should we get for like Cincinnati. Now we're joining US Highway 62. It is signed for Maysville, Kentucky. We get a mention for US Highway 68. And now US Highway 68 is joining us with US Highway 52 and 62. Wrong way concurrency. US 52 is now westbound, 62 is eastbound, and 68 is northbound. Now we're losing US Highway 62 and 68, so US 52 will just head into Cincinnati. You can see Interstate 471. Also, I forgot, we're joining Interstate 275. It's time for Kentucky and Cincinnati. And Columbus, we get a mention for Interstate 71. And we're losing Interstate 275. And we get a mention for 471. On that bridge, you can see US Highway 27, and US 27 did join US Highway 52, so we're going to continue the video for US Highway 52. Here we go! Up that bridge, you can see US Highway 42 and Interstate 71. US Highway 27 and 52 is going to join Interstate 75, as US Highway 127 follows Interstate 75. Now we're losing Interstate 75, US 52 and US 27 both will get on Interstate 74 as we leave Cincinnati. Now we're going to be losing US Highway 27, which will head into Oxford and Richmond, Indiana. Now we're joining Interstate 275. 275 northbound is signed for Dayton. We get a mention for Interstate 75, also for Dayton. So now we're going to join 275 southbound for Indianapolis. We're going to be concurrent when Interstate 74 and US Highway 52 would be concurrent with Interstate 275. And Interstate 275 southbound is splitting off. We just get Kentucky. Why not put any towns like Kentucky? You can put Lexington, Louisville, whatever you like for Interstate 275, not just the state of Kentucky. Come on, man. ODOT, why are you just putting Kentucky as your treatment? So we're now signed for Indianapolis, which is a great choice. And welcome to Indianapolis. Wow, we get Benjamin Harrison on there. And I do like the new sign for Indianapolis welcome sign. The old one was lame. The old welcome to Indiana sign was just lame. The newer one's just much better. Now we're going to be losing Interstate 74. So Interstate 74 will just head into Indianapolis, while US 52 heads into Brookville and Rushville. US 52 is going to be joining Interstate 465 northbound with US Highway 40, US 31, US 421, US 31, and US 36. Interstate 69, we're joining now, and now we're losing US Highway 40, which will head into Washington Street. And we get a mention for Interstate 70 for Indianapolis, downtown, and we get Dayton, which is a great choice. Columbus should be on there too, but I like downtown Columbus. I like Columbus and Dayton, Ohio. These are the greatest choice for Indianapolis getting signed. Now we're losing US Highway 36. It'll head into Indiana Highway 67. We're losing Interstate 69 for Fort Wayne. It'll get on with Indiana Highway 37. We're losing US Highway 31. This should not be Westfield and all that stuff. This should have been South Bend. South Bend should be signed on US Highway 31. Now we're losing US Highway 421. This should be not Michigan Road. This should have been Michigan City for US Highway 421. Now we're losing Interstate 465. We're joining Interstate 865 for Chicago for Interstate 65, which is an awesome choice. You can still sign for Chicago for Interstate 65 because 65 northbound ends on US Highway 12 and 20 in Gary. Yeah, because Interstate 65 can still be signed Chicago, so you can sign Chicago. Now we're losing Interstate 65. It'll head into Chicago. US 52 gets no control cities. We should get like Lafayette, where we meet US Highway 231. Now we're joining US Highway 231, our old friend. Now we're losing US Highway 231, so US 52 will just head straight. Now we're about to join US Highway 41. 41 is going to be for part 2 as we join US Highway 52 when we head into Kentland. Now we're losing US Highway 41. US 52 will turn left on US Highway 24 for Sheldon. And we just get Illinois state line. We should get like welcome to Illinois, not state line. Now we're losing US Highway 24. US 52 will turn right to head into Kankakee with US Highway 45. Now we're joining our old friend, US Highway 49. Nope. US Highway 45. You can go check out my US Highway 45 video. So US 52 and US Highway 45 and Illinois Highway 49 would head into Kankakee. We get Interstate 57 northbound, signed for Chicago. 57 south should not be Champaign. We should get like Memphis on there, not just Champaign, like I did on my US Highway 45 video. So we're going to be concurrent with US Highway 45 and 52 heading to Kankakee. We're going to be concurrent. Now we're about to be losing US Highway 45. We're signed for Juliet. US 45 will head into Frankfort, but we should go like Chicago. So US 52 would head left to Juliet. We get Interstate 80 East for Des Moines and 80 West for Chicago. Oops, it's Interstate 80 West. For Moines, Rockland, this should have been Des Moines. For Interstate 80 westbound, forgot. It's not east, it's westbound. Interstate eastbound will head into Chicago and Cleveland and Toledo. We get Interstate 55 for Normal and Bloomington. No, this should have been St. Louis, Missouri. And we get 55 north, we'll head into Chicago. 55 south is just wrong. I do not like Bloomington and Normal. This should have been St. Louis, Missouri. Just sign St. Louis, Missouri, Illinois. This is a bad choice for southbound. Here's Interstate 39 and US Highway 51 for Peru. Come on. Why are we signing Peru? Put like St. Louis, Missouri for Interstate 39 southbound. And 39 northbound is signed for Rockford. Okay, not really that bad. Here's US Highway 34, which is coming out on August 15th. Here's US Highway 30. US Highway 30 would be, I will make that video some days. I can do that. US Highway 30 is just from Atlantic City through Astoria. We get no interchange for Interstate 88. And now we're about to enter into Iowa. Now we're about to join US Highway 67. Wait, no. US Highway 67 does not join us. US Highway 67 begins. Alright. US Highway 67 begins right there on US Highway 52. So US 52 is turning right. Now we're going to join US Highway 61 as we turn left. Now we're losing US Highway 61. Some days I'll do that US Highway 61 video because it will have parts. Now we're about to join US Highway 20. Now we're losing US Highway 20. We're signed for Dyersville. Now we're joining US Highway 18. Now we're losing US Highway 18. US 52 is turning right. Here we are, and we are now in Minnesota. We get Interstate 90 west for Austin and La Crosse. Now we're going to join US Highway 14 in Rochester. Yes, I almost forgot. We are joining US Highway 63. Now we're losing US Highway 14. US 63 and US 52 is continuing. And we're losing US Highway 63, US 52 heading to St. Paul and Minneapolis. We get Interstate 494. Now we're about to get on Interstate 94. We get a mention for Interstate 35E. So we're joining Interstate 94 westbound and US Highway 10. So we get a mention for Interstate 35E. Now we're losing US Highway 10. It'll head on Interstate 35E. US 52 and Interstate 94 still together. And we're joining Interstate 35E southbound. Now we're losing Interstate 35E, signed for No Control City. Come on, why not a town for Interstate 35E southbound? So we get Interstate 94 and US 52, signed for Minneapolis. Now we're about to join Interstate 35W. And we're losing Interstate 35W, so US 52 and Interstate 94 will just head into Fargo. Here's US Highway 169. Interstate 694 ends. We get Interstate 494 junction. We're signed for St. Cloud. You get US Highway 71 for Glenwood. Here's US Highway 75 for Moorhead. Now we're going to enter into North Dakota. This is our last town. We're US Highway 52. We get Interstate 29 and US Highway 81 for Grand Forks and Sioux Falls. Interstate 94 and US 52 is still together. Signed for No Control Cities. We should get like Bismarck for Interstate 94. You get the beginning of US Highway 10 East. Now we're losing Interstate 94. We get US 52. Now going to join US Highway 281 for Jamestown. We're losing US Highway 281. US 52 is heading into Waverly. No, it's Harvey. Now we're joining US Highway 2. It says Devil's Lake. Wow. How creepy is Devil's Lake for US Highway 2? We just get a mention for US Highway 83. Now we're losing US Highway 2. We're signed for Portal. I know US Highway 12 is part of Minneapolis with US Highway 52. We've joined it and then we split off with it in Minneapolis. Here we are in Portal. We just get US Highway 52 West. So it's going to end. And US Highway 52 ends. So that is it for US Highway 52.